Well, good morning, everybody. It's Baby Friday. I had to remind myself what day of the week it was this morning. I was anticipating a storm earlier this week, and that always throws my days off when I think something out of the ordinary is going to happen. It's just me, how I am. And this morning I was putting together a video about little Quentin Simon, an update about his case. If you missed it, go back and catch it. And I was like, holy hell. Not only is it almost Friday, it's almost February. Cat, exactly. Baby America Friday. If you don't know what Baby America is about, you're missing out because I think Cat got more enjoyment out of that than anybody. That's the funny thing about friends. When one gets literally insulted, the other one can laugh in your face and then you laugh together. It was hilarious. Let's see who made it in here to talk about the circus is back. The tents are up, the bears are dancing, the elephants are throwing peanuts in the air. Balloons are $15 a piece or 10,000, whatever's handy. It's crazy too. Boston Mom says, yes, it is. Angel P's in the house. Hello, Kiki. Cat just made me feel better. She said, I'm not laughing at you, just for you. Little baby America. Katarina, hello. Kenny Crackers, what's up? Just Me said it's more like a sideshow, possibly. Hello, Preschool Granny. DC made it in. Ginbug. Missouri Mama, what's up? Slim came in. Diane's here. Rianne's here. Tell you what, the gang is all here for Summer Wells. Man, oh man. What to do? Where to start? I'll let you guys go first. What the hell? I kind of expected after Don being in jail for a year that when he got out, he would just STFU. Seems like between when he walked out of the slammer at the end of October and, well, a couple of weeks ago, something didn't go his way and made him go back to YouTube. Now, we saw this go down in the fall of 2021, while at the time they were trying to get their boys back. And, of course, every now and then they would mention and try to find Summer. Every now and then they would throw that in. Oh, we're trying to find Summer. Get our boys back. While we're breaking doors and chugging whiskey. So he goes to jail. A year in jail did not break Dawn. Almost a year. All that time away from Candace, neither of them budged. What does that tell us? What does that tell us? I'm over the possibility she could have wandered off. This was the most extensive search in Tennessee history. I think the only one that comes close is the search for Holly Bobo. Where Summer said, it tells me you can't turn on your accomplice. Maybe that's it. Don't forget Grandis either. We know Grandis isn't budging. Lady May said they're still looking. Always looking, aren't they? It's like those people that say they're always going to do something. They're always going to do something, but they never do anything. You know those people. Hello, Mermaid. Hello, Amy King. I think at this point, Don should get into politics. I really do. He definitely has a way with people. Not the outcome that most people would want, but he stirs people up. It's madness. It's total madness. Could you imagine Don running for office? Could you imagine? C-Star said right there, Don should run for sheriff. It's a movement. I'm making t-shirts, Don for sheriff. We know we'd get something done. We just wouldn't be going in the right direction. We wouldn't be going in the right direction at all. We certainly would not. No, it is absolute insanity. I don't even know what to say about it. It's kind of like fool me once, shame on you. Fool me 500 times, maybe I'm slow to the punch, you know? We all knew when he made the Facebook page at the end of December, a lot of people said, "Oh, that's not him. That's not him." It's him. It's him. I messaged with Don for a little bit and I told him this was my advice. This is my advice. He didn't take my advice. I said, YouTube didn't help you before. Now, this is before he jumped on YouTube. He must have heard my whole thing about opposite day and thought it applied to how he should take advice from people who are truly trying to give advice. I said, YouTube didn't help you the first time around. I mean, it didn't. Hell, on a YouTube live, he tore out a Ben Hill Road and got a DUI. I'm not saying that's YouTube's fault. We all saw it go down. I said, the only thing that you can do is keep on law enforcement. I'd be calling Pruitt every day. I'd be calling the DA every day. He said, well, the DA doesn't have any evidence. I said, that's okay. You keep calling him. You keep calling them and make them do their job. That was my only advice. But I did say to Don, you can ask him. I said, YouTube isn't going to help him. Well, I guess he thought this time around it would. When you think about how crazy this case is, 19 months, not a sign of Summer Wells. I was talking to Where's Summer? That's the YouTube name in here the other day. And I said, if you read up on it, if you have one person go missing in your family, immediate family, I don't mean some uncle that you never knew existed or some cousin that you just saw one time at a reunion. That's rare in itself. If you have an immediate family member that goes missing and is found, that's rare. If you have an immediate family member go missing and it turns out they were murdered, that's even more rare. If you have an immediate family member go missing and they are never found, they're never found, that is lottery odds. They've got 2 in one family. How can you have 2 immediate family members disappear? How the hell does that happen? Grandis, don't ever forget about Grandis. That's her intention. She likes the circus. When the circus is going on, nobody asks about Grandis. She enjoys it. Jody Sue actually helped her out. She likes it. No one's asking about Grandis when Dawn's getting all the attention. So look at Grandis. You have a daughter and a granddaughter that just evaporated. Candace, you have a sister and a daughter that they just evaporated. You've got 2 law enforcement agencies that people are after saying, you're covering up. You're not doing your job. You've got 2. You've got one in Wisconsin. You've got one in East Tennessee saying the same thing. We don't have any evidence to tell us what happened to them. What the hell? How can that happen? It's insane. It's also insane. I just realized today is Ree's birthday. Ree, I did not know today was your birthday. Ree, tomorrow at the Members Live, we're celebrating all the January birthdays. Let's all tell Ree happy birthday. birthday, Ree. Happy birthday. I hope it is as fun and awesome as you. All right, so back to the show because we have the rest of the day to celebrate Ree's birthday, and we're going to celebrate it again tomorrow on the Members Live. Think about the odds of two people in your family, immediate family members. They just totally disappear. Even knowing somebody who knows somebody that just totally disappeared. These are lightning strikes twice in the exact same spot odds. It doesn't happen, but it happened here. It's crazy. And in the midst of all this, Don is pandering to the public to get money to get his boys back. I wouldn't set foot anywhere near that family. I'm afraid I'd be evaporated. I'm afraid if I went anywhere near Candace or Grandis, I would vaporize into thin air. They seem to have that effect on people. Let's get to some comments from the last show, the show we did for summer, missing 19 months. Then we're going to talk about a lot of the chatter about, I'm not going to say them by name, I'm not going to put their picture up, but the attention right now seems to be focused on where the boys are going to be, not so much on summer. We're going to do something about that. Fine Art on Fire said, my number one question is, what are they doing? Exactly what? Now, he is talking about Pruitt. Pruitt is the lead investigator. It's not TBI. TBI cannot take this case over. Their agency, when it was developed in the state of Tennessee, was never made to be a lead investigative agency. Pruitt is the man. I know we love to bitch about Lawson, but it's Pruitt. Pruitt is the lead investigator. There's also a DA that doesn't seem to be pounding on his door saying, do you have anything for me to press charges yet so I can send Ronnie and the boys out to make an arrest? Kind of looks that way. So he says, what are they doing? Exactly what? Because they told us last year they're checking the answering machine and tip line, and then they work on other cases. That's the words from their mouth. Second question, so why in the hell do you keep blowing us off, telling us it's still under investigation, when you already told us you aren't doing shit? Checking your voicemail is not investigating a crime. This is an active and ongoing criminal investigation. This is an active and ongoing criminal investigation. You do not make the public feel better by saying, I've been checking the voicemail. When I come in the morning, the first thing I do is check my voicemail. I follow up on some other leads. One time I had 5 leads in a day. That's not how you investigate. I'm not an investigator. We've followed many, many, many other cases, and the investigators never said, well, after my wife packs my lunch, I get in the car, go to work, put my lunch in the fridge, I check the voicemail, and if there's nothing on the voicemail, I just get to other stuff. And that's how we roll around here. Who the hell would say that? Who the hell would say that? Court case said, if Summer was abducted and if she is found alive, can Dawn and Candace tell her to her face that they did everything they could to find her? Did they beg for the abductors to bring her home? She said, I'll answer that for them. No, they didn't. Well, I guess if you can't count when Dawn was about to go get out of jail, he said in a letter that he wants them to let her go. But that was a FFFFF year later. She says, boy, bye. Y'all don't care. If Summer pops up, can they look her in the face and say, well, you know what? We were putting up flyers any chance we got. Now, with the exception of the free trip to California when they got to meet Spider-Man and talk to Dr. Phil, what are we doing here? I watched I guess it's a documentary, you could call it that. Do you guys remember the Cleveland kidnapping where Gina, Amanda, and Michelle had been held captive by, I think his name was Ariel Castro in Cleveland, Ohio for like 10 years. They were allowed to watch the news and everything. And one thing Amanda said was it kept her going that she would see her mom on the news so much, pleading to get her daughter back, pleading to get her back. If Summer's alive and allowed to watch TV, she doesn't have to worry about seeing that. She doesn't have to worry about turning on WJHL and seeing her parents looking for her. At all. Dina Lynn said, no grandma that I know of would ever leave the state where her granddaughter is missing from and her 3 grandsons in foster care. She did 0 to help. So we're on the boys real quick. Then we're going to circle back to the boys. Don't worry. Grandmas are cutthroat. Grandmas are, look, I did the best I could raising you. Now it's the grandbaby's time. Look, I understand I lied to you your entire life and told you I had no extra money for McDonald's, but I've got all day and all my money for these grandbabies. Why did CPS not find one relative to put those boys with? According to Grandis, she's as innocent as the new fallen snow. Why couldn't she take her 3 grandsons? Why couldn't she take her 3 grandsons? Mary and Jeannie, they've made quite the stink in this case. Why could they not have taken the 3 boys? Doesn't matter that they're in another state. Do none of them want the boys? Or do they just want to sit on their high horse and talk about how horrible Dawn and Candace are? Put your money where your mouth is. They always look for family members to take children first. You're telling me not one family member would do it? Not one. We know not one would do it. Wouldn't do it or wasn't fit. Jeannie and Mary, anytime that they can get a chance, they talk about what Dawn did to them. But you have no issue with these boys in foster care? You want those boys in foster care? You said you would do anything for Summer. What about the boys? What about the boys? C-Star is gifting Crime Lines and Lies memberships. Making it rain in the chat. Thank you, C-Star. Thank you. I see you said there is a new article out about Summer. You said it's on, what'd you say? TimeNet? TimeNet. Summer Wells. That says June 12th. Where is it at? I see you. ICU will tell me in a second. Times News. Isn't that what I put in? Hell no, I didn't. Times News. Oh, dear God. Well, this goes right along with what I was talking about. Son of a bitch, these people. Thank you, ICU. Thank you. Let's put it on the screen, guys. Hope you have your coffee. But no thanks there. Get out of that. Oh, let me go through these comments, and I want to look at this because it all goes together. It all goes together. Thank you, ICU. Dina Lynn said, oh, I already went through that, sorry. Erica said, what do you think about Jody Sue being cleared? Let's play the clip real quick. And then we are done with her ass forever.
I guess thank you, Hawkins, and thank you, Pruitt. Appreciate that. So I'm going to play this for you as it originally is, and I'll share it on my community wall here in just a second.
You got specific questions that are pertinent to this case?
Yes, suspect Brown is threatening people on the internet.
I find that on suspect 2 threats are as far as you believe it.
Okay, so that's Benny Colin Pruitt, who it wasn't a busy voicemail day for him, so he took time to talk to Benny. And Benny said, suspect Brown. He said, she's not a suspect. He said, she's been threatening people. He said, threats are only if you believe them. She's not going to do anything to you. You know, he's a thorough investigator. But he said she's not a suspect. Erica says, what do you think about Jody being cleared? I don't think she was cleared. I think she was never a suspect. She's just a piece of shit. Nobody ever said she was a suspect. Now, Lawson said everybody's a suspect, but he didn't specify who. I don't think she's a suspect. I don't think she ever was. I think she enjoys her notoriety and her attention. And I'm using the word notoriety loosely. She has used this case. She has exploited Summer Wells. I asked one time, I said, what did Summer ever do to this woman? What did she ever do to this woman for her to have it out for this little girl so much? She has diverted so much attention away from Summer. It's benefited Grandis greatly because it has added to the circus to where nobody brings up Grandis. It's all about Jody, Dawn on the toilet, Candace drunk in the recliner. All of these people are helping Grandis, if you really want to know the truth. She should actually send everybody a candy bar. They really should. Cruella Devine said, why were the boys taken unless it was to traffic, legal human trafficking with Summer? I'm with Dawn here. Nobody is trafficking the boys. Nobody is trafficking Summer. What evidence they have shared with us, like evidence of Lady May being awesome because she's a new YouTube member. You bet. Welcome, welcome. What evidence they have shared with us, which is very, very little, is that there is zero evidence that she has been moved, abducted, trafficked out of that area. She's somewhere around there. They believe she is somewhere around that area. Now, dipshit Pruitt, Prue, Johnny Prue, he doesn't say why. I don't know if somebody left him a voicemail and told him that. But he doesn't believe that she is out of that area. So anyway, no, there's no trafficking. The boys aren't being trafficked. Summer's not being trafficked. The boys are in foster care. They're in foster care. And Dawn is on YouTube talking about their situation, just like this article ICU just told us about in Times News. Where once again, my friends, he's violating a gag order. Here we go. The parents of Summer Wells have raised concerns online about being kept from contact with their sons who are in the custody of the Department of Children's Services. Summer, who was 5 at the time, was reported missing on June 15th, 2021. Her 3 older brothers were removed from the home by DCS over a month later, around July 26th. All right, let's talk about that for a second. We don't know for sure why the boys were taken from the home. Some people say probably drugs. They probably told Dawn and Candace to take a drug test and they failed it and they took the boys. I wouldn't doubt it. Some people say, oh, it's because Don got drunk one night and they went and got him. I don't know. That one doesn't seem that likely. Alcohol's, I don't know. That could be it. I don't know. I think it falls in place. This is just my opinion. I think it falls in line with how the investigation was going at the time. Don said it was because of YouTubers. Fuck me. Yeah, I know. He said it was because of YouTubers. Summer went missing June 15th. They had a very extensive search to which they stopped because they had pretty much figured out they weren't going to find her. They were not going to find her out there. She didn't just wander off. They would have kept that search going if they believed she had just wandered off her property. They had like 40 different agencies, different states coming in. Around this time, there was a woman who was speaking out on WJHL, and she, at the TBI, works directly with Amber Alerts. When it was said that the FBI card unit said no abduction, she was suddenly off the case. We never saw her on the news anymore. I think between the search being over with no Summer, they figured out she didn't just wander off. When the FBI card unit said no abduction, I think it left them with one thing, that something foul AF happened on that property. I think that's when they went and got the boys, and I think that's why. You're not going to lose your children because one of your other children wandered off. Accidents do happen. Some people say it was a condition of the house. I think it has more, it's just my opinion though. I'm not here to argue. I think when they said no sign of an abduction, they had to get those boys out of there because we can't risk somebody else evaporating. We can't risk somebody else evaporating. After the boys were taken at the end of July, it was after that that the YouTube stuff started. Candace spoke with Chris McDonough out at the pond, then back at the house. Then it went into full effect in August. That's when Don decided he wanted to be a star and was on different panels. Things got really out of hand. They messed up badly in the fall of 2021. We know that he got a DUI that violated his parole. Then we had Candace in the spring of 2022. That was a sight for sore eyes. They have both violated the gag order repeatedly. And the elephant in the room, they are both suspects, persons of interest, however you want to phrase it, in the disappearance of Summer. They are both looked at. If you called Pruitt right now and you said suspect Don, he wouldn't correct you and go, oh, no. He's not suspicious. I'd be very surprised. It says Summer, who was 5 at the time, was reported missing on June 15th. Her 3 older brothers were removed from the home by DCS over a month later. At the time, no exact reason was given for the removal. However, Summer's father, Don Wells, mentioned in an interview at that time that his home wasn't safe due to the increased public interest in the case. You know, he thinks nobody remembers anything. The YouTube drama didn't start until after that. But okay, Don. But that is what he said. On January 16th, in a post titled The Last Straw on the family's blog, Don and Candace Wells claim that DCS is keeping them from contacting their sons. I imagine they are, because he violated the gag order. He can't be trusted to talk to them. Don was released from jail on October 30th after serving time for a DUI conviction that violated his probation. He said, "It doesn't matter what people think of us. After 9 months, I returned to the loss of everything. My wife and I strip the house and start to rebuild our lives from scratch. And what is the first thing DCS does? They tell us we can no longer see or call our boys." Hmm. He was supposed to start reunifying with them in November when he got out of jail. He wouldn't be the only jailbird that has children. He wouldn't be the only jailbird that has children. Who screwed up and where? Now, mind you, they've been screwing up the whole time. They screwed up in 2021. She screwed up in the spring of 2022. I'd love to know what he did when he got out. He said, "Here we are, an Amber Alert family. Our daughter Summer is still missing, and DCS won't let us talk to our own boys." It may seem like a harsh word, but the DCS have kidnapped our boys. If they treat us, American citizens, this way concerning our boys, no communication, then what chance do we have of ever seeing Summer again if she's found? I can answer that. If Summer's found, you have no chance of seeing her. None. None. They're gearing up to take their rights away. That's what they're doing. That's what it looks like to me. If he's telling the truth. Remember, on here we play opposite day. This could not even be true. Who knows? In the post, Don mentions recent articles about DCS and talks about the state of the DCS system. He also talks about how others should be outraged as well. Oh, I'm outraged with the DCS system, but I would be more outraged if the boys were allowed to be with Dawn and Candace. Two Boston moms, thank you for becoming a new YouTube member. Don says he believes Summer would want him and Candace to fight for the family. He says this broken system, cash cow, must have, we ask everyone who loves Summer Moon Utah Wells to cry out as her voice in a demonstration to the state of Tennessee that this is wrong, beyond wrong, what they are doing to children and their families, Don stated. Yes, on the personal side, we see no reason they have stripped us all of communication with our boys. Well, do you guys remember why the visits had to stop? Don said it was just too, gas is too expensive. It was too far to drive. But then he mentioned he got in trouble for talking to Josie about Summer. Why is he always talking to Josie? Everything circulates around the oldest son. That's what he said happened. He also took the oldest son with him to Utah. He made sure to have the oldest son with him as the poor boy was hanging his head on the damn evening news. Near the end of the post, Don said the couple will no longer remain silent. It's been 1 year since we went quiet, Don stated. That ends. We are sick of it all. No, it hasn't been a year, Don. You went to jail in February, so roughly a year for you. But your wife was all over YouTube. She even started her own channel. She was going to go skydiving with Benny. She got pizza from Ernie. And she happened to say one night while she was drunk that she doesn't even know where you were that day. She also told another channel that she loves you, but she's not in love with you. She can't handle what you've done. And that she's got to look after herself and her kids. But she did put an asterisk there. She said, Summer's gone. I can't do anything about Summer, but I got to work on my boys. I got to work on my boys. I'm not in love with Dawn. Can't do anything about Summer. She said she's dead. She's never coming back. But I got to work on my boys. I got to go skydiving with Benny. Waiting on Ernie to bring me a pizza. She said slash day is coming. She said slash day is coming. I wonder if anybody told Dawn about that. Did anybody tell Dawn about slash day? I'm guessing no. I remember slash day. I about fell out of my damn chair when she said it. I couldn't believe that. She goes, we're going to have slash day. Yeah, I agree too. I see you. He said that the house was not safe for the boys. He even alluded to it was his idea for CPS to come get the boys and that he'd just go pick them up someday when things calm down. But in the meantime, they were breaking doors, going to LA to see Dr. Phil. They had no business doing that. Dr. Phil could have come to them. He gets drunk. He said he had to get cigarettes. I don't think it was cigarettes he was after. Talking to the news media honestly could help these two a little bit. Talking to law enforcement is definitely what we want. If he really wants to make some moves, why don't you just go ahead and divorce Candace? Divorce Candace. Get the hell away from Candace and cooperate fully with the police. Just divorce Candace and cooperate fully with the police. If that's what you want, is your children back? Candace and her mother were there that day. According to Dawn, he was at work. Candace said Dawn and their oldest boy were at work. We know that wasn't true. The oldest boy was home. Where was Dawn all day? We don't know. Let's look at this clip real quick, then we're going to talk about the gag order. Because when they said to not talk about those boys on YouTube, anywhere, and they kept doing it, that didn't help their case.
The Hawkins County Sheriff now says the little girl's parents, Don Wells and Candace Bly, are not cooperating amid the ongoing investigation and have now hired attorneys. The sheriff would not speak any further regarding the Wells' attorneys, but did mention that no conversation or development led to the past 2 days of searches.
We actually have not stopped looking for Summer. This is just another part of it that we are looking over some ground we've been on before and maybe some new ground we hadn't covered, and just trying to turn up anything we possibly can to find this little girl.
As you likely remember, Summer was reported missing in June. The Amber Alert, by the way, for her is still active tonight. And rounding out the Big Seven, new food delivery.
He said they're not cooperating. He didn't name any names, but somebody in that house knew who he was talking about, because that was the whole reason that Grandis talked to WJHL and did her interview. Candace said she has told everything she knows. She said it's not in her metabolism to lie. She said it's not in my metabolism. She doesn't lie. But she can change stories. Her first story, this was repeated to 911 by Dawn, was that she went on a run. She came back 10 minutes later and Summer was missing. She said she had Summer by the hand because she's a helicopter mom, right? Mom Patrol. Mom Patrol walks Summer over to the house, and 2 minutes later, she was frantically searching that basement. She can't, now the boys are one thing, but she can't have her eyes off Summer for 2 minutes. Think about it. The boys are left home by themselves all day long. but she can't have her eyes off of Summer for 2 minutes. After 2 minutes, she goes back in and says, where's your sister? Oh, she went down into the moldy, dark, dirty dungeon to play with her broken toys by herself. It's a kid's dream day. Every child would want to do that. So in a frantic panic, she goes down into the basement and there's no Summer. That was her story. But it's always opposite day around here. How do we know Summer didn't go into that tin can on wheels that Grandis was living in and Grandis didn't do something to her? We don't know. We don't know. I about fell out of my chair when I saw that tin can on wheels, that rusty ass tuna can that nasty woman was living in, suddenly got sold or moved off the property. I would think Hawkins County would have been all over that. Absolutely disgusting. Mermaid, I only run if I'm being chased. Exactly. And that's what was told to 911. Then when they did their interview with WJHL, she was asked about the property, and she said, oh, hell no. She doesn't go anywhere on the property because of the bears and snakes, coyotes, all that stuff. She also said she had COVID. No, she didn't. She didn't have COVID. She said she had a stomach virus. She didn't have stomach virus. She had the whiskey shits. There is a difference between the whiskey shits and a stomach virus. She didn't have COVID. COVID gets a Candace vaccine. Candace doesn't need a COVID vaccine. Now we hear she's had yet another stroke. Remember last year when she was in the recliner and she was like, I know, Donnie. And everybody's calling 911 saying, oh my God, something's wrong with Candace. And the next day there's Dawn going, she had a mini stroke in her chair, but they just left her laying there. They didn't take her to the hospital. So she had a stroke last year and now she's had another stroke. People vaporize around Candace and Dawn. You can have 2 strokes in a year and never get medical attention. I don't know what to say. I'd love to know what she was drinking to have a stroke that good. I'd love to know. I'm always up for a good time. Give me a stroke. All right, so this is from before Dawn. Dawn had actually just gone to jail. But this is a little bit about the gag order. I think we can all figure out that the gag order has been violated very recently. Matter of fact, it was violated when I just read you that article, but I'm not under the gag order.
Have arrested the father of missing 5-year-old Summer Wells twice, most recent being today while he was in court.
Don Wells was initially arrested Saturday on several charges, including driving under the influence. During an arraignment this morning, the judge appointed Wells a public defender and reset the hearing to February.
While in court, Wells was arrested for violation of probation. He was released on his own recognizance, meaning he did not post bail money, but pledged in writing to appear in court for all upcoming proceedings.
News Channel 11's Ansley Daniel was in court today, where Wells told the judge he has been working on his house and, in his words, things for welfare to get his boys back.
Josh and Sarah, Donald Wells did appear for an arraignment here in Rogersville earlier this morning. He was here over those DUI charges from this past weekend. And while he was being arraigned, he was arrested again for violation of probation. We are working to determine what exactly he violated. However, a gag order has been issued on the Child Protective Services case involving he and Candace Bly's older sons. It was issued by juvenile court judge Daniel Boyd, and it reads, all parties to this action are hereby prohibited from discussing this matter or the children with the media or any other non-essential person, entity, and/or uninvolved or disinterred parties or person. Wells confirmed to me.
it's pretty, they cut to the chase for sure. The gag order says, basically, don't talk to anybody about the boys, particularly drunk, breaking doors, and fighting with Candace. Don't talk to anybody about the boys. Some people say, I hear things a little differently than other people. I know Pruitt said that the CPS case has bled over, he said, into this. I got so furious about it. I said, well, what the hell is this? You're really telling me that in Tennessee, they're doing it ass backward? They're really shelving a criminal investigation into the disappearance of a little girl while they sort out a CPS major issue. But still, come on. There's always other kids involved in these cases. I think it's the other way around. I think the boys are hanging in limbo while they are trying to figure out what's going on with the case of Summer Wells. They can't bring the kids back to Ben Hill Road because the parents might be the reason she's gone. If they're not, let's say they charge Dawn and Candace today, and 2 years from now, we have a trial and they're acquitted. What do you do if they've taken their parental rights? They're going to have to hang in limbo. But if he's telling the truth and they are not letting them have any communication with the boys, I think it's hard. You just don't know when to believe him and when to believe him and when not to. Do you believe Dawn this time that they're not letting them have any communication with the boys? Because a few weeks ago, they were letting them have communication, and he needed $10,000 to get the boys back. This wasn't a matter of talking to them on the phone or visiting them. He wanted them physically back in the house. Then this was sent to me in my Facebook Messenger this morning. I think this was on Sissy's channel last night. He is really stirring stuff up for this $10,000, but, and if it's not on her channel, I apologize. I shouldn't have said anything. He said all our money is going to child support fines in this house. Well, yeah, no child support was paid when he was in jail. We know that. You think Candace didn't go to work? Candace found a couch to flop on. He said, I'm going out of state to work, hopefully make some good money. This isn't about an attorney. He said, all our money is going to child support fines in this house. Somebody has said, you're way behind on your child support. You've been out of jail since the end of October. Time to start paying the fiddler. The $10,000 is to catch him up on other things. Oh, we got Muscles and Mascara backstage. Let's see what she's doing. Hello, Muscles.
Hey, Brooks. I am so sorry. I think I had a failure in communication with you.
You're okay, girlfriend. So the circus is back in town. That's what we're talking about. Dawn is saying that DCS will not let them communicate with the boys at all. Now, a few weeks ago, that wasn't the story. It was that he needed $10,000 to hire a good attorney. $10,000 is not going to help them because you... Oh, what is that noise?
My bad. My car kicked off the Bluetooth. I'm sorry.
You're okay, girlfriend. So he wants this $10,000 to get the boys back. I don't think even if Johnny Cochran came back to life, he could help Dawn. Dawn has made too many mistakes since the boys were taken. What do you think?
I agree. And the efforts around trying to do what they needed to do to even try to get their kids back, that's long gone. That window's way gone for me. And honestly, I don't think they deserve to have their kids back. That's probably not a popular opinion, but it's my opinion. So I hope that they never have that opportunity. They don't deserve it, in my opinion.
Well, how can you why would any judge give the kids back to parents that are suspicious, suspects, persons of interest in the disappearance of another child? How,
Yeah.
on what planet would that make sense?
Yeah, it definitely wouldn't. And I will say, I had a personal experience with another person that I know, pretty close to me, and they're kind of going through the same thing, and all the right decisions have been made when it comes to that. So I'm very hopeful that the same judge will be, and it is the same judge. So I'm hopeful that the same outcome is going to be with this one, and not even an opportunity for this person to have their kids. So that's the only good thing I can say. Yeah, they don't deserve their kids back. Just that's just how I feel about it. Just not at all. And the fact that we're still here talking about Summer being missing is enough for me too. It's just a compounding effect.
Mm-hmm. And I agree with Kay Sloan. She said even 10 million won't get the boys back. No, you can get the hottest shit attorney in Tennessee. They still are not going to convince a social worker and a judge that it's okay to take the boys back to Ben Hill Road when they still can't tell you what happened to another child that was in their care, Summer Wells. She's been missing since June 15th, 2021.
Yes, and the whole that all has to be taken into consideration, because this has gone on long enough. And seeing him get out of jail and seeing him now back on social media places and stuff like that, it just makes me sick, because you've yet to hear them still. Not one time have you heard them beg and plead. Have they got on a news network and beg and plead? No, they've not done any of that, and they still keeping their mouth shut. There's a reason for it, and they don't deserve any children in their care, period, ever again, if all I care.
No, I wouldn't let him. I wouldn't let him change OJ's litter box.
No, me either.
No, I feel bad for the boys. Very, very bad for the boys, because some people have this foster care situation painted like Daddy Warbucks and Orphan Annie. No, none of this is good. There is nothing good about any of this situation. I hope that those boys are in a very good home right now. They're not in a permanent placement home because Dawn and Candace haven't lost their rights yet. So they're not up for adoption. I hate to say it that way, but they're not up for adoption. But it's not fair to these boys, for their safety, security, their future, to hang in limbo while they're trying to figure out what happened to Summer Wells and how Dawn and Candace were responsible, or if they were.
Agree. This is really hard to talk about. It feels weird to even be here right now. I mean, it's hard to talk about. It's just as hard today to talk about as it was, when the very first day she went missing. It's really difficult, and it's sad because, in the community around here, I don't venture down towards Ben Hill Road, and don't want to, have no desire to. Are you serious? These still not be found? There's there's nothing. And a lot of people are taken aback by it. And, I don't know what to do. Trevor has led the way on there with a lot of different things that he's done. I've written letters with no responses from people, several of those actually. And, as a concerned citizen here, it's you feel like your hands are tied. You don't know what else to do. And that's a really sad situation to feel like you're in right now. And it's also reality. So
Mermaid said it's super sad. They probably think their parents are coming back. I also think about, we've heard Dawn on several occasions say, They had been telling the boys to keep an eye on Summer. They had been telling the boys to keep the door locked. They might, because this is how children are. This is how children are. I hope those boys are not thinking any of this is their fault.
Oh God, I hope not either. That crushes me to think about.
Because it took about a month and a half to get them for them to be removed. I think that had to do with where the evidence was leading them with Summer. I think it became so so apparent that they couldn't ignore it anymore, that somebody on that hill could be, if it was just Grandis, they would tell Dawn and Candace, get Grandis off the hill. We think she did something to Summer. Done.
Yeah, absolutely. And that isn't that heartbreaking to think that the boys might actually be sitting there contemplating that, are they going to have some kind of guilt of some sort and, stuff like that. That really crushes me as a person just to think about that. I can't imagine what they've been through like prior to any of this even happening, and all those children have been through and witnessed and seen. I can't imagine that. But then to have this happen and be jerked from your home, and be it a safe place or not, jerked from your home and just completely uprooted, and then to not know where your sister still is, like I can't imagine what they live with daily with that. I just can't. It breaks my heart to think about.
It breaks my heart too. Like when Dawn had one of the boys on the news, this was just, a few days after Summer disappeared. There was no reason to do this, and it still is circulated everywhere. You search Summer Wells, this is one of the first links that comes up. And you look at his impression that day. I hope it's gotten better. I hope there's been some therapy. Let's look at this real quick.
She says, "Where's Summer?" She went down in the basement. She didn't answer, so she went down there and she was gone. So she went out the basement door, which was unlocked, and we haven't seen her since.
This morning, Donald Wells spoke on camera for the first time since his daughter disappeared.
Please let Summer be okay, and please come home.
He says it's unlikely Summer would leave the house on her own. Wells says the last time anyone in the family saw Summer was when she entered the house to play in the basement after gardening with her mother and grandmother. Wells also spoke about his gut feeling about Summer's whereabouts.
Some bad person grabbed her, but we have no idea.
Wells says law enforcement have covered leads on area sex offenders and drug addicts.
We're trying to think, beat our brains out. We've covered everything that we can think of already.
Investigators say they have followed up on 85 tips so far. Wells says he is overwhelmed by the massive numbers of personnel on site.
We just really appreciate everybody trying to help that they have, law enforcement and all these volunteers that are here. I've never seen anything like this in my entire life.
That was John Janko reporting those sentiments shared by Hawkins County Sheriff Ronnie Lawson, who said he has never seen a show of public support like this in his 4 decades of law enforcement.
That clip was just a few days after Summer disappeared. We did the first show June 16th, 2021. She disappeared on the 15th. This was the 21st, 22nd. Now, it said in there 85 tips had been turned in. 85 tips. There would not even be one tip if Summer had just wandered off her property. There would not be 85 tips. There would not be 1. There would not be 2. There would not be 10. There certainly wouldn't be 85 in less than a week if she had wandered off.
No, you're exactly right. And if she had wandered off, I have full confidence that she would have been found. There's no doubt in my mind. There's people trained to look for this, for situations like this. And there was many people down there that I know personally that were down there, sacrificing everything they could to try to find her. And I know without a doubt, how hard they've tried. It's really sad. But you're right. If she'd have wandered off, that we wouldn't be discussing this. And her parents would be looking for her in the woods and allowing for that to happen. And that's not what you're seeing here. It's just not.
But you have people that argue it's because of their education and where they're from. You don't have to have a Harvard degree and live in East Manhattan to go look for your kids. That's one of the instincts we're all born with.
Absolutely. It's your child. And if you were a half decent parent, you'd be on TV begging people to come and try to help and everything else. And, you know, she wandered off. We watched her go out the back door. You know, we've heard that come out too. Whether it's true or not, God only knows, because of the crazy crap that goes around, especially YouTube. But you've heard people talk about that Candace saw her walk out the back door, or she slipped up and said something about walking out the back door. You know, all this crap. Well, then maybe we need to start listening to what they're actually saying and go that direction, because maybe it was in fact that maybe she did walk out the door. Do I believe that? No, I don't. Where's the couch at? Where's all this information at? And if you were a mother, you would be on TV going, I need people out here looking for her. I saw her, you know, she wandered off. We figured out she's wandered off or whatever, but you can't be believed because you've put on this public display, or lack thereof, at the early on. You know, why wasn't the mother ever on TV for ever how many weeks that was? It's ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And they still aren't. And Dawn gone to jail. And what did she do? Nothing. She did absolutely nothing. She made a fool out of herself more on the internet. You know, she did all this stuff, but did she do anything to try to find Summer? No. She just says, I really wish we could find my baby girl. Really? That's not going to bring her back. Get off your butt and go find your daughter if you think she's really wandered off.
Exactly. April, what are you talking about? You said they asked people to flood the tip line with BS. To this day, they're saying they don't have any evidence as to what actually happened to Summer. They don't want people to call in with their psychic prediction, but they never asked anybody to flood the tip line with BS. And it's not just this case, it's every case. People get on the internet and they think they're doing some sort of public service by tying up tip lines with something that they just thought of, or someone else's theory, or something they dug up, which is on another Dawn Wells.
Yeah, and how careless is that of humans that you would do something like that? And you know that there's been a lot of convoluted evidence floating around anyway that people have just dreamed up in their own heads, and it's not even the true thing. And just like what I just said about Candace and what she says and all this different stuff, that's probably all fake crap, which I tried to say. This is what she said. So I think people need to be a little bit more responsible and a little less careless with how they go about reporting things. And then you want to blame the law enforcement, and I'm not saying that there's not something there to blame, but what I am saying is you create so much confusion and so much distraction from away from what we're truly trying to do by reporting stupid things that you have heard somebody else say that you don't even know is true or not, and it's super frustrating. I don't know. I think people have to be, Brooks always said that you've done a good job at being sure that you're like, it's been rumored to hear, that this and this and this, and it's been said, but there's no proof to, I think people are careless in that aspect and they don't do that. And people run with it, hoping that they might have been able to get a little bit of the money that they were after, and it's just sad. It's really sad. I don't know what else to do. And I hate that feeling. I hate to feel hopeless and I hate to feel helpless, but that's where I am.
Yeah. And I mean, common sense sort of leads the way on this. Hold on. Love Coding says, I wonder how you guys keep being interested on these cases. She said, I mean, like I've seen similar cases thousands of times. It makes no sense to me, just giving my honest thoughts. Well, I mean, I wouldn't say that it's the blockbuster feel-good movie of the summer. A little girl is missing, and I don't see how it's possible for a child to just disappear, her parents not look for her, and 3 different law enforcement agencies, Hawkins County, FBI, and TBI, not have any inkling where she can be. That does keep my interest piqued because I think this 5-year-old little girl who's going on 7, she'll be 7 in a few days, deserves to be talked about, not forgotten, and by the grace of God, found. That's what keeps me interested.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Keeps me interested too because it's in my hometown, and there's that, not that that's the only reason that I ever, come up here to talk to you is because of just Summer's case. It's every kid's case, and they deserve to have a voice that they've not gotten or has been taken from them. That's what they deserve. So I think I think a lot of people have that same confusion as to why or how can you continue to talk about it, but that's exactly what people that are responsible for this want us to do, is to forget about it and not talk about it anymore. And as long as I'm on this earth, that's not going to happen. So we've all kind of adopted Summer, as our child, as as our little daughter, and we all feel that way because I think we all try to put ourselves in her shoes, or we've all been mothers and we know what that's like, and giving up is not an option. It's just not. It's not. Sorry.
You're okay, honey. You're okay. No, and some people would love for Summer to not be talked about at all. Her own mother even was in a chat one day and said, if you talk about Summer, you're going to get tossed out of this chat. This isn't about Summer. It was about her. It was about her not loving Dawn anymore and what she needed to do to get her boys back. She said she can't do anything for Summer. Summer's dead. That's from her own mother.
It just goes to show you the importance of us being able to talk about Summer, because her own parents don't want to. So that's even more important that we do.
Marco said, you okay, Brooks? We saw some wacko at Bartlesville Lowe's trying to drag a lady out of there. Sorry to interrupt. I'm good. I don't go to Bartlesville. What the hell's going on in Bartlesville? Shit. Don't shoplift, lady. It's probably one of those 80-year-old people in the Lowe's jackets having a Vietnam flashback. No, it's really, really frustrating, especially with this case, because you have people that very, 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 very much defend Dawn and Candace. I don't know if it's because they're shit parents themselves, and so they can identify with them. Because if they're shit parents, then they certainly are. Yeah. Or the people, we have the innocent till proven guilty people. Well, and I've said before, all well and good. And we definitely want to keep that system, but it's not for me. I don't wear a black robe. I'm not a judge. I'm not a judge. So when we have the powers that be saying most extensive search in Tennessee history, yet did not turn up a little girl, FBI card unit said she wasn't abducted. There's a criminal investigation. They can't rule out foul play. Everyone's a suspect or a person of interest, however you want to label it. Then it stinks. So yeah. I'm gonna go where my nose points me.
Absolutely, and go where other people don't want to go. Other people are walking away from it because it's not the thing to talk about now, because unfortunately there's been all kinds of other things that have happened between now and then, and everybody wants to walk away from it, but some are still missing. End of story. She deserves justice, whatever that looks like. Do I want to hold out faith that Summer's still out there somewhere all well and fine? Absolutely I do. But does my heart tell me otherwise? Yeah, I mean, I think you have to think like a real person. And her circumstances were not in her favor in any kind of means at all. So even after, if we ever do find out, please God, let us find out. But even if we do or we don't, I'll always talk about Summer, just like we're talking about Summer now, just like we talked about Summer the few days after she went missing. That I will always talk about her, and I will always see that the truth is eventually found. And I don't care if that's 30 years from now. I don't care. And if that's what everybody's end goal is, then you don't care either. And you don't care how often she's talked about. You don't care how often people do a live every day on Summer in her case. Then you have no room to come in here and say anything mean to anybody for keeping her name out there like that. You just don't.
Well, and I mean, and that being said, she was still missing when Dawn was in jail. Some people just picked the story back up because of Dawn.
Exactly. And that's the sad, I think that's what's frustrated me the most is, you used to see these streams, and Brooks, you're about the only one that I know that does it. They're few and far between, but on her anniversary, the anniversary of her missing, there's always a show and we're talking about her and stuff like that. And you've always kept her at the forefront. And most people didn't do anything while Dawn was gone because everybody disappeared and Candace was no longer getting on panel and there was no more drama to do and all this stuff. And then people scratch their heads and say, well, why are we talking about Summer again? And it's just because of her parents again. And it's never been the right focus, but here it always has been. And that I'm thankful for.
We're thankful for you. I know I am. Susan said, in my opinion, I think the reason why Summer hasn't been found is she was dumped into a dumpster. That could be. That could be. Candace did go. She did leave the hill 2 more times that day. They never stopped looking around that area. On the frequently asked questions for the TBI, it doesn't mention anything about searching dumpsters. We've had 2 recent cases, and the FBI was talking about the Quentin Simon case. Little Quentin Simon, he was found in the landfill. His mother put him in a dumpster. They said the odds of finding someone in a landfill are less than 5%. They did find part of little Quentin. We have another more recent case, Anna Walsh, out of Massachusetts. Her husband put her in a dumpster. She went to a garbage holding facility, they believe, where they incinerate several times a day. They believe she's been incinerated. If Summer Wells was put into a dumpster, there's going to be no way of finding her. If it's less than 5% within a few days, what would it be after 19 months? I hate to be a downer, but I just want to be honest with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's, it's real. It's no fun to talk about, that's for sure. And you're like me, Brooks. We hold out faith, but we also have to be real, and the likelihood of even in the landfill or anywhere else for that matter after 19 months, and the fact that the parents are not standing on doorsteps and screaming and demanding that something be updated, something be told, something be something, and there's nothing. It's dead radio silence, and it speaks freaking loud volumes to me. Very loud.
Candace went radio silent, I'd say, after she got stood up on her skydiving date. She wouldn't say shit if she had a mouth full of it. We've heard nothing from her since last spring. Don said nothing from when he got out of jail to a couple of weeks ago. What blew up between walking out of jail at the end of October and a couple of weeks ago? He was not on YouTube. He was not putting Bible scriptures on Facebook. He was not talking about the Seventh-day Adventist Church. He wasn't doing any of that stuff. He wasn't doing any of that. But we've had this huge eruption the last couple of weeks. Seems that somebody was told something they didn't want to be told. I think communication with the boys was probably cut off because he screwed it up in the month of November and December.
And I'll be honest, I don't know. This is going to sound terrible, but I'm just going to say it. They don't deserve to even get to talk to the boys, in my opinion. Truly, I don't feel like they do. They don't deserve that right to do it, because then it just creates mass confusion to those boys. So they probably heard nothing from Candace the entire time Dawn was in jail for a solid year. Probably heard nothing from Candace. I don't know that for sure. I'm totally giving my opinion and the way that I know no other way to judge her but from what she's showed us here. And then all of a sudden now you want to try to talk to them or, whatever, and you're upset that you can't talk to them. You've never spoke about the boys ever anyway, and how much you miss your boys and all this stuff. We've never heard that come from your mouth either. So why do you deserve after a year later to get to go talk to them just because you're their father? That's not a good enough reason. Anybody can be a father. Anybody can have a child. And it doesn't make you a parent. And
no. Not at all. Robin said, because Don's asking for money. Oh, I get that part of it. But it's not like when Don walked out of jail, he had a pocket full of cash. He needed money in November. He needed money in December. We don't have a debtor's jail in America. So I think besides money's always in there. I think besides money, something else happened. Because he didn't say anything in November. He said nothing in December. And then suddenly we have this huge eruption. Since when does Don Wells care about bills he owes.
Yeah. Let's just be truthful. It's nothing that to get his boys back and all this bull crap. If anybody truly believes that, there's you probably need to check yourself, because they've never done anything in the interest of those kids. They weren't parents to start with. I don't care if you're rich, if you're poor, if what. I don't care. I don't care where you live. I don't care where any of that. I don't care what your house looks like. What I care about is that you do everything you can, such as go hungry yourself, stay off drugs, maybe put some money into the house in which you're supposed to shelter these children in, and be a parent. But it's always about them. It is never about those children, and it never has been. And it's obvious by the way, what we do know, it's obvious that they were never first, ever. So why do you deserve to have your kids back? You don't.
No. And it's safe to say that the entire time, the 9 months that he was in jail, no child support was paid. So they're not going to get Don out of jail and say, hey, you didn't pay any child support for those 9 months you were in jail. We're going to put you right back in jail. What about Candace? Put Candace in jail for not paying the child support. Candace is the mother. Candace is on every one of those documents too. She didn't pay, I guarantee she didn't pay a dime in child support to the state of Tennessee. Not having a job is not an excuse. Judges have to say it every day to people about their child support. Not having a job is not an excuse. People that don't go after child support, we can't do anything to help you. Why? No. Candace didn't pay a dime.
No.
Why is Candace not in jail?
Well, and that's what I love to hear too. Well, Candace doesn't work. Well, ask yourself why she doesn't work. She sure doesn't have children to care for. So why is she laying around on her hind end, drinking or whatever it is that she does in a day's time? And why is that okay? Why should anybody give her a dime of anything for anything that she needs when she's very capable of going and working herself? And the excuse of, well, their names out there like that and they can't just go get a job. Bull. There's plenty of jobs that you can go get. I'm sorry. I feel zero sorry for them. I wouldn't give them a penny and at all, ever. And I'm the most giving person ever. I love to give to people. I love to help people. But those two right there, you can forget it. I would never give them a dime.
No, and it's safe to say he drove over to Arkansas for a job, supposedly. And it's safe to say he's driving without a license. He got the DUI at the end of October 2021. He got out of jail end of October 2022. So what did he take his driving classes and all that while he was in jail? I don't know how it works. Normally you lose your license for a year. You don't just automatically get it back.
No.
You have to take so many hours of DUI school. You have to pay to get it back. They see things like that don't matter to them.
No. I mean, they're clearly not law-abiding citizens anyway, so it doesn't matter if he has the license or not. He's gonna, he'll do what he needs to do and everything else. So it's really funny how everybody in America, or not everybody, but people think that it's their right to have a driver's license. No, it's a privilege. It's a privilege. It's not your right to have children. That's a privilege too. And until you can learn to treat one as a privilege and then the other as a privilege too, ask these people out here right now who would love to have children that can't. They would love it to be their right to have a child, but it's a privilege to have a child because not everybody can. And when you piss yours away, you certainly don't deserve anything else in this world. That's my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, and that being said, children challenge us every day. You ever had a 2-year-old look you straight in the face and say no? And you're like, don't do that. No. Come in here and eat. It's time to eat. No, I don't want to eat that. Next thing you know, instead of eating the dinosaur-shaped chicken nuggets you made for the little angel, they're eating a candy bar just so you can say, at least they ate.
Yeah. That's very true. I mean, yes, and God knows being a parent is the hardest job that you'll ever have in your life. I mean, I'm convinced of that. I think I can get through just about anything else, but parenthood is tough. But it doesn't mean that you just quit and don't do and leave them out there to fend for themselves or do nothing for them. I mean, those kids break my heart. And I think about them all the time, and it really does break my heart to know that, you know, right here, and I know it's everywhere, and it's everywhere in the country. It happens everywhere. But gosh, it just eats at you every day to know or to think about what they could have endured. It does. It does.
Boston Mom says, "Oh my, Brooks, that was my daughter's go-to every dang day. She loved those dino nuggets after school, and there's no chicken in them. There's no chicken in them. But I mean, you do what you have to do. It's bath time. No, I don't want to. Come on, get in the bath. Come on. I've got $100 worth of toys in this tub for you. Come on. Come on, let's get in the tub now. Oh, you're stinky. Come on. Oh, let me smell your toes. Oh, you got to get in the tub. Next thing you know, your baby wiping them off because you're not going to fight with them about taking a bath. So yeah, they challenge us every day,
Absolutely.
but not to the level we see on this channel.
No. Yeah, and that, you know, I feel like a lot of people say something about, or might think that I'm always picking on Dawn and Candace. I say that about anybody that's had a child that's had the similar situation. And if you can't care for your kids, then go tell somebody you can't and give that child a chance at life, because that child didn't ask to come into this world and didn't ask for you to be the whatever you are. I know people fall under certain circumstances every now and then, and it makes it super hard, and they've got to go get help or whatever. And I'm completely fine with that. But if you sit around and you do nothing and you think that people should just hand out to you because of your name and because of your circumstance, I'm sorry. That's not the way it needs to be handled. And, you know, if people want to go and give them money and do whatever, then wear it out. But not this girl. I am not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. It's
like C-Star said, though, they're out of excuses. We've seen the real Dawn. We've seen the real Candace. We've seen them. Here's an example. This is what we were dealing with about this time last year.
Where's that pretty little zipper at? He is outside as usual. Brenda, isn't it nice to see her smile? It is beautiful. It's so nice. Oh, it is. I love y'all. Y'all are great. No, you're the great one. You're great. Both of you are. Both of you are. Thanks for being our friends. Your friends are hard to come by. See the Mountain Dew? Oh, that's what I'm drinking. Yeah, right? I'm drinking iced tea. Well, it's a 2-liter, so you might as well. Yeah, right? Just get one of them. Remember those straws that have the candy in them? You just empty them out and stick that in the 2-liter bottle. Candace, can you say that on? Hey, can I have a friend join us? Yeah. Absolutely. Sure, absolutely. Dale! Go get her. You better ask her first. Can you see what's on the screen, Candace? Baby. Munich City Mom said she would like to help. I see you. The comment that I put on the... Come here, Dale. Get your ass out of bed. He's like, I got church in the morning, woman. I was here cooking in the morning. We gotta go to church and then we're gonna come home and work on the house. That's what we're doing tomorrow. Come here. Come here, my friend. Get over here. Come over here. You'll be in our lives, baby. Get off the leaves.
Come here, Dale. Come here, Dale. Dale doesn't want to talk to you. Dale doesn't want to be on camera. Who wipes their mouth off like that when they're drinking Mountain Dew? Have you ever been that blotto at 10 o'clock in the morning, Muscles? I forgot you have a job. Those of you, when we work, okay, we can't afford to be drunk AF at 10 o'clock in the morning. Oh, I'm drinking Mountain Dew. Thanks for being our friend. Shut up.
Amen.
Shut up.
Amen. And instead of flashing Mountain Dew bottles, trying to convince everybody, including yourself, that that's what you're drinking, why don't you flash a picture of your daughter? How about that? How
Yeah.
about we talk about summer, Candace, for a change? What would that look like? You can't do it. You can't do it. I mean, you've proven to that over and over and over again. And how can you sit there? And I know people have to say, well, life does have to go on, and they do have to figure out how to pick themselves up and move on. Yeah, I agree. You do have to figure out what you're going to do. But when my child is still out there somewhere, and I know damn good and well I did nothing to my child, you're not going to convince me to move on with my life. I'm sorry. And you're sure not going to convince me to sit up there on a panel and laugh and cut up and smoke and drink and do whatever it is that you're doing and try to play like you're internet buddies with people. That shit's disgusting. Pardon my language, but it's just nasty. It's disgusting.
And that's after she got those free chompers from Dr. Phil. And then she was smoking and drinking, everything you're not supposed to do. And she got her gums all swollen. And then she was laying in the recliner about to die. Don was screwing with her because she had swollen gums and telling her he had 7 alibis. Do you remember that?
God, yes, I do.
Here's a recap.
No,
I have 7 alibis. I have 7 alibis. Candace ain't got none. She's going down.
You were at work, right?
7 alibis. Candace ain't got none. She's going down.
You were at work.
Even with swollen gums, I wouldn't have put up with that. I would have been like, buddy, you're going down with me. She's like, I know. Who would say I know if someone says you're going down? But that supposedly was a joke. That's not a joke. There's nothing funny about that.
No. The fact that you're cracking jokes about your daughter's missing case is absurd in itself.
I got 7 alibis, but Candace is going down. I know. Well, if you know, what do you mean you know? That's an admission of guilt to me.
Absolutely.
Guilt. We know it's not in her metabolism to lie, especially with swollen gums.
Yeah. Absolutely. I'm just disgusted. I mean, when I go back and look at things, and I do it a lot, I try to go back and watch different things that people have put out, because it is important to go back and look at some of that stuff. I can't do it. I can't sit through one anymore. I just can't do it because I know they've done nothing. And, that's the most frustrating part. It's just absolutely disgusting. Vile behavior for a human being, period. And I'm not convinced they're human, so just saying.
And I mean, I think it goes without saying, like I said earlier in the show, why don't you just divorce Candace? You're sitting there saying Candace is going down. So let's look at some other men that had to face the reality that the woman that they're with is responsible for a child in the home going missing, being harmed. One, it's a trial we're going to start following in about a month and a half. And I normally don't follow trials. We'll do like a verdict watch, but this one we're going to follow the whole trial. And that's for Gannon Staunch. When Al, some people say Stouch. Anyway, Al Stouch, when he got back he was like a National Guard. He was in Oklahoma. He gets back to Colorado. Gannon's missing. Gannon ran away. It took him a hot second to figure out Letitia was responsible for it. Boom, divorces her. You're gone. We have the case of Kyron Horman. Now that case is cold as ice. Something's got to happen with the Kyron Horman case. It's been 12 years. Kane Horman realizes that some stuff that Terry is saying isn't adding up. Boom, he gets the hell away from her. But you got Dawn talking to Spongy Gums in the chair. You're going down, but doesn't divorce her. He goes to jail for a year while she's trying to get with other men. She was on the Plenty of Fish app. She was talking to Sunshine 420. They were going to meet for fish.
Yeah, and what happened to that? What happened to that? I'm leaving him. I love him because he's the father of my children, but I'm not in love with him. What happened to that? It's funny how the tides have turned because you both need each other because you're afraid one will squeal without the other. And that's exactly what I think the problem is. That's my opinion.
I felt bad for Sunshine 420. I was like, buddy, you're dodging a bullet there. Because remember, I said, what if Sunshine 420 has kids? Would you let your kids around Candace? No child has ever gone around Candace that hasn't been abused, neglected, and eventually a ward of the state.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that's why I'm so hard on her, Brooks. I don't even judge her from this specific situation here, the specific scenario. It's what we know happened with her other children. That's what I judge her off of. And I'm sorry that I'm judging her. But for somebody like that, she deserves to have judgment cast against her. If you're a mother 7 times and you're a failure every 7 times, you don't deserve to have a child back ever in your life again.
Yeah. I mean, her two children in the state of Wisconsin. If Wisconsin and Arkansas had an interstate compact, like a lot of states are doing now, she would have never been allowed to leave the hospital when her and Dawn had their first child together. That child would have been in the state care of the state of Arkansas.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Because of the immense neglect and abuse her first 2 children went through, who were raised by the state of Wisconsin. And again, let's not forget, not one family member stood up to take care of those 2 kids. Grandis did nothing. Her 2 grandchildren, her granddaughter, Candace III, was missing in the state of Wisconsin one time. She was on the missing and exploited list. So actually, that's 3 in their damn family. 2 that evaporated, 1 they found. She was on the missing and exploited list in Wisconsin. Why didn't Grandis go get her daughter? Her granddaughter, I mean. She ran away from her foster home because she was so abused in that foster home. Here we are again. And we're doing nothing for these kids in foster care.
Wow. These poor kids. It's mind-boggling what these kids go through. It is. These people are just sick. I mean, how can you do stuff like that to a kid and not care for your kid? You know what I mean? How do you do that?
Or a grandmother. Okay, so Dawn and Candace are a hot mess. What about the grandma? What about the grandma?
Yeah, I haven't talked to TBI in 4 months, and the only reason I did was because there was YouTubers at the bottom of my driveway. That's how involved you are in the disappearance of Summer Wells, your granddaughter. That tells me all I need to know, too.
I always wondered about that. When they said CPS got the boys, I thought, well, one of their family members will get the boys. But that didn't happen. And then, like I said, you have Jeannie and Mary. When they get a chance, they'll tell everybody about how horrible Dawn is. And it's like, then why aren't you doing something for your nephews? You took all that time to name a corn dog after Josh from the lab, but you're not doing a damn thing for these boys. And they're your blood. They're your kin.
Yeah. And then just to consider the amount of people that were around during that time that, did see and have came out and talked about the living conditions and this and that. And they've all spoke about it. But did you do anything about it? No. Nobody did anything about it to prevent this. And I know it's hard and it's, you want to be right. You want to make sure but if you're there and you know this has happened, then say something. We have to do something to break this vicious freaking evil cycle that's all over this freaking world right now. And we have to be willing to step up and say something. And in that, you have to be willing to be wronged, because you could be. But at the same time, I'd rather be wronged and everything check out just fine than to sit back right now and be where we are today and think that I had an opportunity to do something about it and did nothing.
Mm-hmm. You don't want to be the person calling CPS over stupid stuff, like somebody on YouTube making you mad.
No. No.
You don't want to do that, but you damn sure don't want to be the armchair quarterback on a Monday morning saying, "I knew it all along." And then they double back and they go, "Oh, I called and they wouldn't do anything." Okay, really, what's your case number? They gave you a number to track it. What's the number? They can't give it to you because they didn't do it. Always Late said, "Grandma Candace is not even allowed to talk to the Wells boys. Why? I want to know why Grandis can't talk to the boys. Also, it has been said since, well, early on in this case, that Candace's sister, who is also named Jeannie, will not allow Grandis around her children, the children of Rose Bly, Rose, who disappeared off the face of the planet. Her children are not allowed to be around Grandis." I think we see a pattern here, do we not, Muscles?
You better believe we do. You better believe it. And if anybody sees these people in public, grab your child and run the other direction. Yeah, and there's a reason why. There's a reason why. There's a reason that we don't know why. They're not going to blast that across or whatever. But you know what? It is time that the truth comes out. It is way overdue. And whatever the case may be, how about contributing to a minor? Are we gonna have any charges on that? Or are we just gonna allow that to happen? Does that happen every day? Yes, it does. I get it. But at the same time, when you have a criminal investigation going on for a disappearance of a child, it would be a good idea to hammer someone when you can and get them alone. Because I'm telling you, if you allow them to if Candace can be locked up, I can promise you there are ways that would crack that lady so fast, and I'll be the first one to sign up to do it. So Hawkins County, I am for hire. Matter of fact, I'll do it for free. Just let me do it.
There you go. Well, that would be in Sullivan County. I think they just need Hunter to be a cooperating witness. Him telling Chris McDonough on the porch, eating Domino's pizza and drinking Mountain Dew isn't going to do it. Hunter's going to have to talk to the powers that be in Sullivan County. His dad's been on the show before. He's not going to make a phone call. We know Allie's not going to do it, or they would have done it by now. If Sullivan County wants to go snooping around, they can go get Candace.
Listen, and that would be the best thing for this case. That would be the best thing for this case. Please go pick her up and take her to Sullivan County. I can promise you we'll get answers then. Sheriff Cassie doesn't take no for an answer, so.
No. Well, here's another, reminder of, why CPS probably isn't going to consider any time soon even a visit on the phone with Dawn and Candace. This was put together by another channel. What's the name of the channel? I'll tell you in a second. But listen to this. This is some stuff that Dawn said.
Hello there. I've been following Summerwell's case since the beginning, and I felt like going over some of the disturbing things which have been said by Summerwell's father, Don Wells. As heartbreaking as they may be, I do believe they are important when it comes to understanding the brain of one of the main suspects. Number 1. Giving props to his now adult daughter for not complaining about getting raped on her 18th birthday.
As soon as she turned 18, he raped her on her 18th birthday.
Jesus.
Yeah, because he knew once she turned 18, there wasn't a whole lot she could do about it or whatever. On her 18th fucking birthday. Pretty crazy. There was things she could do, but she didn't go crying. She don't go crying and for all attention and blah, blah, blah. She dealt with it. I got to give my daughter props on that.
Number 2.
So that's when he was talking about his daughter being violated violently on her 18th birthday. I've got to give her props. He even went on to say she didn't cause any trouble for anybody. Why would Dawn, why would her father not protect her, go to the police and say, you've got to do something about that? That makes me so sick. She didn't cause any problems for him. He even knew that she was turning 18, so it wouldn't cause it wouldn't be that big a deal. It is a big deal. It's a huge deal. It's a huge deal. And if I knew what state it was in, I would get a hold of his daughter and say, there's no statute. Turn that person in now.
That's a fact. And it doesn't matter if you're 18 or over, Dawn, FYI, unwanted sex is a, you know what? And you're a sick piece of crap. The fact that you didn't go hunt down the person that did that to your daughter.
Disgusting.
If Dawn said just one harsh word to Summer, she would break down crying.
If I said one little word to her, she would just start crying, and I'd have to apologize 10 times. Say, Summer, I'm sorry. I didn't, she would just, it killed her if I said anything like that.
Number 3. Bringing to words the most vicious acts which he thinks might have been done to his missing daughter.
Somebody has hurt her, probably sexually, maybe beat the fuck out of her, probably killed her.
Number 4. Not wishing prison upon the person who took his daughter.
Okay, so let's talk about that. When Don said he thinks somebody beat the F out of Summer, probably killed her, with a straight face, not a tear in his eye, does that raise a red flag? Okay, the first thing about the 18-year-old daughter, who, by the way, I'm sure has nothing to do with Dawn and has never really said anything about her sister being missing, but we're talking about Summer Wells. Summer Wells vanished at 5 years old, and he says someone probably beat the F out of her, probably killed her. Huh. That's beyond a red flag for me, Muscles.
Yeah, and listen, prison's too good for that man. The fact that those words came from his mouth, period, and he could say that and never even have a voice crack or any emotion behind it, prison's too good for you, big boy. Way too good for you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Unbelievable that somebody would actually say that about their own child, about any child, much less their missing child. You have got to be kidding me. Ugh. Yeah, this stirs up a whole other fire, Brooks. Woo. Sorry.
Brandy Neal was in chat on Tuesday. We were covering Monkey Tuesday or Wednesday. And it was Tuesday. And I played a news report and she lost it. She lost it.
Yeah. I was watching that. My heart broke. Because I can't imagine, but that's how a mother is supposed to be when something is going on like this. I get people handle things differently or whatever, but I'm sorry, if you're a real parent, you're going to have a lot of the similar reactions. You might be stronger than another person, because I'm telling you, Brandy Neal is the strongest human being I know, and I don't know her personally, but just to see how she handles herself, I don't know how she does it. And God knows I'm praying for her every single day too. Her and Monkey both. I'm praying for that entire family. I can't imagine.
Yeah. I mean, I said, we can stop the show right now, Brandy. She said, no, go ahead. But she would never get on there and be like, oh, I bet. Well, she wouldn't say it anyway. I can't even say it. But that's what he said he thinks happens. And he said it many times.
What do you think should happen? I have to leave it to God. And I know what prison's like, and I have mercy for anybody who's in prison, because you're lucky if you get out of there alive. Yeah. Anyway. So would you want to see this person in prison? I don't know if I could do that, to be honest with you. Yeah.
Why would Dawn not want to see the person that beat the F out of Summer and killed her in prison? Why would Dawn not want to see that person in prison? Why would he not want them on death row?
It's unbelievable. And you have mercy for people in prison. Please know what you said, Dawn. You have mercy for people in prison who've been proven guilty in the court a while. Are there some people that are actually innocent, proven guilty? Yes. But for the most part, are you really telling me that you feel sorry for people who have done these vile things to other human beings? You feel sorry for them. You feel sorry for them because they're you. That's who you are. That's where you deserve to be. That's where, if I can do anything in this world, that's where you will be. And leaving it to God is what I do every single day, because that's the only thing that will help me get any sleep over your daughter, Summer, that is missing, Dawn. That's the only thing that I can do, is you'll meet your judgment one day. That's the only thing that I can lay down at night and have a little comfort in.
Who in the hell could even muster up that sentence and say, I don't know if I could do that, to be honest with you? I know you're going to be right on the same page with me, Muscles. Let me tell you what a horrible mother I am. I would go and light up a teacher when my kids were in school, let her have it over the way she treated my child, even knowing that my child was in the wrong.
Absolutely. Amen. Amen. If you don't have that parent instinct that just, it's a killer instinct. I call it a killer instinct because that's what it is when it's your kids. When somebody's doing something messing with your kids, that's what it is. And you're going to be there to protect them, no doubts about it. But you now get to listen to two different things and two different women or two different children of his that he just pisses out in thin air. Just, oh well, this happened. Wrong answer. Wrong.
And I don't know what's wrong with these people that they are so afraid. Hey, I don't think anybody wants to go to jail. I don't think anybody wants to go to bankruptcy court or anything like that. But I'd be way, way, way more scared of eternity in hell.
Yeah. And, you know, nobody wants to go through any of that kind of situation, but that's also why we are law-abiding citizens, because we do the right thing. We're normal humans. But people like that aren't normal. People like them are not normal. There's nothing normal about these people at all. And the fact that after child number 4 or 3 or whatever it may have been, that magic number, to figure out that Candace was a horrific mother and she's not even deserved to have that title, period. She's a birth giver. That's what I'm going to call her. Should have been, the ability for her to have any more should have been taken from her, because, again, it is a privilege. And clearly, you don't know what to do with a child in this world, period. You've had too many chances at trying it. If you've had that many, you sure don't deserve to have another one.
Exactly. I just couldn't imagine. You ask somebody, what would you want to happen to the person that did this to your child? Hell, just a few weeks ago, I don't even think they had gotten Brian Kahlberger off the plane from Pennsylvania to Idaho. Kaylee Goncalves' family is on Fox, and they said, what do you want to happen? They're like, well, I'm glad we live in Idaho where we have the death penalty. Without even a stutter. Here's this fool. Oh, I don't know if I could do that to anyone, to be honest with you.
It just depends on all the circumstances, you know.
Number 5, going on and on about how much Summer loved him instead of the other way around.
Yeah, she had to be by me. She just had to be by me.
That's her personality.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, she loves me to death.
We had such a great love for each other. She loved me, and I don't know why I've never had someone love me that much in my life. And so it's been awesome, you know, between me and her. And so it's killed me.
When she didn't want her mother, she only wanted me. I just couldn't believe it, you know, she only wanted me. I've never had anybody love me like that. She says, but Daddy, I just want to be with you.
Number 6, he always knew something would happen to her.
I just always had this feeling that something's going to happen to her. I've always knew that something was going to happen to Summer. Something in my gut has always told me.
Number 7, blaming the
Now, the first time I heard Don say he always knew something was going to happen to Summer, I lost it. I don't think I did the show that day. I was so upset.
Yeah, I mean, wow, what a thing to say. And he says too, right after that, he says something about, I always told Candace, keep your eye on her, just knowing something was going to happen to her. But yet you leave her with that said woman, and you leave them all the time doing for her to care for them kids. And then you stayed married to her too. I don't know about y'all, but if I had an inclination or a thought that my husband could not take care of my child, and I was afraid something was going to happen in his presence while he was watching our child, I wouldn't be married to that said person any longer. That's what normal humans do.
No, no. If you think, what would you do if you thought that your dog could possibly bite your child, maim them for life? You wouldn't have a dog anymore, right?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am. Nope.
If you thought your husband or your wife is responsible for another child in your family disappearing, you wouldn't let any child around them. Dawn had 4, not 1, 4, and left her. Did I lose you guys?
I'm back now. Something weird happened. I don't know what happened.
That was weird. It just cut out all of a sudden. That was really weird. I'm going to have to send a big old fat complaint to StreamYard about that. I don't know if it's on YouTube's end or StreamYard. So, he has 4 children with her, knowing that she lost 2 children to the state of Wisconsin due to abuse and neglect. Odd, don't you think? Not only that, but he also left the 4 children alone with her while he went to work. He went to Utah with 1 child and left the other 3 there. One being Summer Wells, when he said he always knew something was going to happen to Summer. Odd. Very odd.
Children.
They're all glued to their damn TV and their games on their phones. He just started crying. I don't even remember what I said to him or what. He says, "Dad, it's not my fault." You know, and he was crying. I said, "I know, son. I know it's not your fault." What was your other boy saying? I told my wife that if he would have went downstairs with Summer like she wanted him to, she probably wouldn't be gone. He feels like he's kind of guilty.
A lot of times
Okay, what he said right there really makes me sick for those boys, because I'm sure they were told quite often that Summer being missing was their fault. He said when he did the interview where he was talking about the dog trail, he said he was pointing to the door, and he said, always told the boys to keep this locked. Always told the boys to keep this locked. It's not the boys' job to keep the house secure. No, that would be your job, and that would be Candace's. I really hope these boys are not blaming themselves for being removed from the home and for what happened to their sister.
The boys would be inside and we'd be like, "Where's Summer? Why'd you leave her out there alone? You know, go get Summer now." You know, and that's happened over and over again.
I don't know why, but they're dealing with it okay more than me, and they're doing a lot better than me and Candace are. Not why that is, but I don't know.
She loved to be outside all the time. That was her, unfortunately, her downfall.
Number 8. Sexualizing a 12-year-old.
That little girl right there, I seen her at the park. That poor little girl, she got a body from hell. I seen all kind of black all over her at the park. She'll be pregnant. She ain't pregnant right now.
How old is she?
What, 13? How old
What, is she half black?
is 12. There's 12.
Number 9.
I think it goes without saying, we don't talk about prepubescent girls going through puberty, and say things like that. We don't even look at them like that.
Exactly. And most fathers with daughters would never even contemplate saying something like that. Much less a 12-year-old. That's disgusting, number one. But I know there's dads that's in this chat or is going to listen to this that feel the exact same way. If somebody even starts talking about somebody that's remotely around your daughter's age. I remember my dad, one of his friends did this to him, and he was talking about, it was not a young girl, it was a younger woman. She's probably in her 20s or something. And close to, I was around that age, and I was standing there whenever they said something about it, and my dad's like, I don't even know how you can say that. He was like, my daughter's standing right here. She's that age. You know what I mean? Like, that's what a normal father reacts to. Not saying that somebody's got a body from hell and she's 12. You're a sick ass. Sorry.
No, you're right. April, what police video and audio are you talking about that you have? I've never seen any police video or audio on WJHL or the station out of Knoxville or anything like that. What police video and audio do you have? The only thing that's been put out is the 911 call, and it's only the dispatcher talking. So what police video and audio are you talking about, hun? He's so gross.
Claiming he knows where Summer's at.
Candace, my daughter's probably on the fucking streets right now somewhere. Nobody's listening to me.
Donnie, we can't do anything.
I know where she's at. She's in a fucking motel room somewhere with some fucking weirdo. Some motherfucker trying to sell me for a little bit of crack cocaine. I know how it works. Somewhere hold up in a fucking motel room.
Donnie, stop letting your fucking mind go there, okay?
I've already been there. I've seen
Stop it.
I'm just telling you what I've seen. I'm telling you what I've seen with my own eyes.
I believe that you have seen this.
Number 10. Again, more disturbing ideas on what might have happened. And remember, these statements were made just within a couple of weeks after Summer went missing.
I don't want to think she's dead, but it's a possibility.
Well, I'll see her in the resurrection. As long as I keep the commandments and I do what I'm supposed to do, I'll see her in the commandments. If that's the case,
My biggest fear is, her being tormented or locked in a dungeon or basement or something.
Statistically speaking, there's a good chance she's already dead if you look at it statistically.
These were the most disturbing things said by this man which came to my mind. But sadly, this list could go on forever. We don't know if he had anything to do with his daughter's disappearance, but he sure doesn't look innocent in my opinion.
That's only 10 things. That's not even the top 10. The other stuff goes against YouTube terms of service. This video will probably get a big nasty check mark on it just for playing that.
Seriously, that you talking about seeing her in the resurrection and all this stuff. Dawn, give that crap up. Sorry. You're not going to have the opportunity. I'm not even going to go. I'm not even going to go there. Just the answer is no. And I forgot what I was going to say on the other one. Dang it. What was the last one?
About the resurrection.
Yeah, I was thinking there was another one I was missing. God, I don't know. Maybe it'll come back to me. I lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Gaga said you could easily do a list of 100 things. I know.
Ugh, isn't that the truth? Isn't that the truth?
So I think, I mean, it's safe to say that there's a very, very good chance that they're nowhere near to getting their boys back. And the number one check mark against them is the disappearance of Summer Wells. And it's not fair to have the boys hanging in limbo. They're not going to say, look, we're not going to worry about the criminal investigation to the disappearance of Summer Wells. We got to let them do their reunification with the boys first. No, it's the other way around. They have got to clear Dawn and Candace before they can allow them to be around their boys again. They can't even trust a phone call right now. That's how bad it is.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And I just did think of it. So he also admits to that she might be locked. His biggest fear is she might be locked in a dungeon or a basement. Are all these just admissions of what you know's happened? You know, and you locked her, for lack of better terms, in a dungeon. I mean, what's what we all considered her sleeping quarters to be. And where she supposedly went missing from, that Candace had to look for 20 minutes under all the blankets and stuff that was down there, which is a crock of crap. We all know that. I mean, gosh, it's been a while since I've seen some of this stuff, and boy, if it doesn't just strike at a whole different level at this point.
It's disgusting. Disgusting.
It is.
It's disgusting.
And beat the crap out of her, Brooks. I mean, that whole comment right there, when you played that, and I've heard it many times, but when you played that just now, I was sick to my stomach. Tears instantly flooded my eyes, my chills all over my body. I mean, I cannot believe that some man would stand up there and say that about his daughter who is missing. That I'm afraid somebody's beat the F out of her. Are you kidding me right now? You deserve to have the F beat out of you for saying that. That is absurd.
Yeah, I've seen it with my own eyes. I know how crack cocaine is. Sure, here's the phone, Dawn. Talk to your boys.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, please have a relationship with your children after you want to say some stupid crap like that. Are you kidding me? And now you want to question why you can't have your kids? I'm telling you right now, they are not getting their kids back. And if I have to go stand at the courthouse steps, then so be it. I'll take off from my job since I do have one, Candace. FYI, I'm a real mother. Nonetheless, not that if you don't have a job, you're not a mother, but I have a job, so I have a daytime job. I'll take vacation and go stand down there, and I'll do whatever I need to do and show out to where they don't get these kids back. I'll be dang if I give them penny of our taxpayer dollars for anything to have those kids back. I refuse. That's a whole different level. I refuse.
It's so much it's so much white trash overload. It's really hard to pick what's the worst that you just heard.
Yeah, you can't even pick one out. You're right. I mean, it's all so bad. It's but then you have people who are saying, well, I mean, they deserve another chance with their kids. Why would you say those words from your mouth? Why? Why would you think they deserve that? Why would that even cross your mind that they deserve another chance? Listen to the 10 things this lady picked out on her video, which were all absurd and disgusting, but that's not all they've said. And that's the sad part.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's like when people, I think it was last spring, you and I did a show and we were both about to lose our minds. And I said, some of these people that are saying, they were encouraging Candace, you can do it. You can get your boys back. Come on, you're a strong mama. Come on, mama. I'm in your corner, mama. They were cash apping her, you name it. And I was like, these are the same people that talk about what a failure CPS is, but now they want them to fail?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. For them to turn back around and do another story when something else happens to, God forbid, their other kids when they're back in their care and be like, well, CPS failed these kids. Do you reckon? But you want them back in their arms. Are you serious?
For what?
Those kids. Yeah, for what? Exactly. Those kids have a chance. They have a chance. And they're going to have to work their butts off to even have that chance. But they have a chance to do something with their life, to break this disgusting cycle their parents have dealt to them. And they actually could have an opportunity to do something with their life. Leave them alone. They deserve that. Summer deserved that. And you took that from her. So let them have that opportunity.
Mm-hmm. They're just absolutely disgusting. It just makes me so mad. I mean, it's one thing Dawn and Candace dealing with them, but when people are encouraging wrong, when they're encouraging wrong, and some of these sick bastards, it's for their own entertainment. I'm so sick of people taking things that they know are wrong and trying to make it right.
Yes.
I'm tired of that crap.
Yes.
You sit there and you scream and you scream and you scream that CPS is a failure. CPS is a failure. If you need CPS, there's a bigger problem than the government.
Amen. Preach. Because that's, go ahead.
Oh, no. And then you have a case like this. You have a 5-year-old little girl who vanished from her property, her own home.
Yeah.
Her brothers are taken 6 weeks later. Probably because they realized that her parents probably had something to do with it. Probably.
Yeah.
They just don't go and take kids because dad drank too much the night before. We all know it doesn't work that way. They want kids with their families. They do.
Absolutely.
But they probably figured out, they opened a criminal investigation and they might have been told by Hawkins County or TBI that you might want to check on those boys because they took them really fast and without warning.
Yes. And Brooks, this stream could not have came at a much better time to show what these people have actually openly, voluntarily said on the freaking internet, nonetheless, that we can go back and watch and see what pathetic, vile humans these people are, if that's what you want to call them, just because they walk on 2 legs. I'm not convinced that's what they are, but nonetheless, there's no word for them. But anyway, now you have all these sympathizers out there going, oh, well, we really would like to see them get back with their kids, to get back with them. Or I think their kids probably would like to see their parent. Bull. No, I'm sorry. Even if their children did want to see their parents at this point, it is in their best interest. And that is what we are all on this earth is to do, is to protect children. And it is in their best interest to stay as far away from these 2 humans as possible. They don't deserve to be treated the way they've been treated. And they now see that there's on the other side that the grass is truly greener. For a change in their life, it is greener because they actually have an opportunity. They've never had that. Stop trying to get them back to these monstrous people, because that's what they are, in my opinion. You just watched a clip of people say, or the things that they have said over and over and over again, but now you want to forget it because it seems like it's the cool thing to do is to buddy up with Dawn on the internet. That's disgusting. And it's just as disgusting to see people do that as it is that these parents that actually breathe life into their soul right now, knowing what they've done. Do we know for without a side of a doubt that's what they're doing or what they've done? No, but it's their own admission that we're working off of. So would you go on the internet and talk about what kind of things that you've done to other people and admit it on the internet if you hadn't truly done it? I highly doubt it.
Mm-mm. Prayer Garden said, Beck, in that house a pure hell? What are some humans thinking? Exactly. It took Summer to save her brothers. And foster care, I don't think is it's not what you want for any child. Okay, no. It's not. Agreed. Kinship adoption, you don't want that either. You want them with mom and dad. You want them to grow up the way they're supposed to grow up. I'm sorry, that's how it's supposed to go.
Absolutely.
But you certainly don't want them with perfect strangers. They get adopted out. They have to change their last name, may not see their siblings until they're 18 years old. But you know what? It's better than vanishing into thin air. That's what we have to deal with.
That's exactly right. That's exactly. And, I understand that people give people a benefit of a doubt at times or whatever, but these people have proven to you over and over again, they don't deserve the benefit of a doubt. They don't. There should be no further doubt. They've admitted to these things themselves. You cannot want to put a child back into that. And a foster family, you're exactly right, Books. It's not always the best scenario. It's definitely not. But it sure as hell beats what they had to put up with. I can promise you that.
Well,
And
I
I
tell
hope
you
and pray
what,
to God it's a good one. I hope.
and in this community, well, I mean, obviously, because they've been in the same ones, I guess, since they left. And in this community, we have people who have fostered before or are fostering now. They are stand up, amazing, selfless people, not selfish, selfless. And
Amen.
these stories are going to continue to get reported about how CPS has failed because they don't have the balls to say the parents failed. They're never going
No,
to say it like it really is. They're going to
no,
say CPS failed, and CPS has failed in several of these. Several of these.
absolutely.
Why don't they talk about the heroes of CPS
Hmm.
that are getting paid 45,000 a year
Yep.
and are underworked, I mean overworked and underpaid, or these foster families that have changed a child's life? We don't get to hear about those stories.
No, we don't. You're exactly right. And I think that's we have to be mindful of that too. And I know that's, it's easier to pick out what these vile people are doing, but I can't imagine what these foster families have to go through, to just try to. I can't imagine trying to love on a child and give that child love that kid is so deservingly, ever since it drew its first breath, ever since it was in the womb, deserves to have nothing but actual love and compassion and people to care for them. But then you have these people that piss that away and do this to these kids. And I can't imagine what these people have to go through to try to correct some of that, to give these kids a chance. I can't imagine it. And people that do this and they don't do it just to exploit the kid or for the money aspect, and they're in it for the right reasons, God bless your souls. Because I'm not a strong enough, I don't have a strong enough heart for it. I don't. I can't even watch stories about foster families without getting tears in my eyes or crying, because I can't imagine what they're going through. I can't imagine what the kids go through, and I can't imagine what's going through the foster families' minds. I just can't. But
No,
I'm so grateful for people that give kids another chance that they rightfully deserve.
absolutely. Here's a case right here. I say right here, I'm not in Tennessee. This is a case out of Tennessee. This lady is a huge advocate for foster homes, the good ones, and for the CPS system and how good can come out of it, get another chance. She aged out of foster care. Now, her mom never lost her parental rights. I don't know the backstory on that, but she basically grew up in foster care and made something of herself. Listen to her story.
My name is Latoya States, and I aged out of foster care in Tennessee in 2010. I'm a United States Air Force veteran. I currently work for one of the federal commissions in Washington, D.C., and I'm also pursuing a doctorate degree. The world may try to convince you that people like me either cannot or do not exist, but because of foster care and the support system I had around me, I was able to see that my dreams were possible. It is because of them that I am the young woman you see standing before you today. With the proper support, foster children can and will succeed. Do not forget that just like every other child, that we are the future as well. Please consider opening your heart and opening your home and becoming a foster parent today. Remember, each one, reach one. The child you save could be your own. For more information, please contact Connie Booker at the Cathedral of Faith Collaborative in partnership with the Tennessee Department of Children's Services at 901 327 1616. You could be the difference.
That breaks my heart. We need more stories like that. There are way more success stories than what we talk about on here. And I'm going to try to start balancing it out way more.
See, that broke my heart. It broke my heart. It makes me happy. It makes me happy to see it, and especially in the state in which I live in. It makes me so happy. But yeah, I love that story. I do. I thank you for sharing that. That was freaking awesome, because it's the hope I have for those kids. It really is.
It's horrible. Horrible. It's hard enough to raise your own child. We know it. We always say, "Oh my God, they're gifts from God. They're little angels." We know the true story. We know they challenge us every single day. It doesn't change when they turn 30.
No, and you know what? It gets harder. I've figured out it's even harder when they get older. It's even harder, because you got to let go of some of the things that you've done. So I just can't imagine it. And what that woman has went through, and then standing up and What was it? She said each one reach one. Is that what she said?
Yes. Each
Oh,
one reach one. Yeah.
it's freaking amazing. I mean, truly it is. And
And there are people that have opened up their homes to children. This is another side of it that's not discussed. And I'm not saying that these boys are like this or anything, to where they say, no, 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 no. We cannot leave that child in your home because that child could possibly burn your house down. You are at risk with that child in your home. When a child is removed from their home, from their family, they have been through such immense trauma. We don't even have to think about what they've been through. We don't even want to imagine. They can't just be plugged into any home and say, okay, there you go. Now you're going to brush your teeth and you're going to do your homework. They're like, they can't operate like that. They can't operate like that. God bless them. God bless them, is all I can say.
amen. Amen.
And God bless you, my friend. You have done the hard work for Summer Wells, and we can't be more thankful to you.
Thank you. Thanks for always letting me have the voice for her and keeping Summer's name out there. You've done a stand-up job for it, and there's nobody that can say you've not. So
Well,
she brought us together. So
yeah, Summer Wells brought a lot of us together. Dear
She
friend,
did.
I count you as one of them, my friend.
Yes, ma'am. You too.
I'm going to start winding this down because I'm getting teary-eyed over here, and nobody wants to hear me blubber for the next hour. Because I mean, when I start that, it's a pity party for one on this end, and nobody's getting away from me when I start feeling sorry for my damn self.
Yep. Yes, ma'am. I know the feeling. Thanks for letting me always be vulnerable, though. I appreciate it. And to the chat, thank you. Please go out and hit this video with a like so that Summer's name's back out there, please, and to help support Brooke. So thank you very much for having me.
Anytime, girlfriend. Always open. Always open.
Thank you.
All right, you guys have a good rest of your day. There's not another show today. I think there's 2 shows tomorrow. We have a members live tomorrow morning, and we might have another show in the afternoon. I haven't quite decided. I don't know exactly. Big group hug, hearts for Summer. They don't necessarily have to be purple. I know one day I said purple hearts for Summer, and afterward a lady was like, I don't have a purple heart on my phone, so I didn't put a heart up. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. Whatever you want to do. You know, we're easy here. Best community on YouTube. We agree to disagree. Try to figure out what people are talking about sometimes, because sometimes in chat, I'm like, what the hell could they be talking about? We get it figured out. Do what we need to do. Enjoy the rest of your day. Happy birthday to Ree. Thank you, Muscles, for coming up. Jax was trying to come up and looks like couldn't get connected. There's always a next time. Don't worry. There's always another show. Sometimes in an hour, sometimes the next day. You never know. So you guys keep on keeping on. Keep fighting the good fight. We're in this together. I will see you guys over in Discord, one of the Facebook groups. If I miss you there, then I will be back tomorrow to hang with the coolest people on the tube. You have a great one. Justice for Summer.